guys, and welcome to today's Los Blancos podcast. Today it will be a rather short one. It's just me talking about the Villarreal game that happened yesterday, in which Real won 2-0, but still, there's quite a lot to talk about. So, without further ado, let's get right into it. And overall, I thought the game was, rather unremarkable, but in the end, we got 3 points. But it's obviously overshadowed by some bigger things, which is obviously Dani Carvajal getting a horrible injury, one in which it's going to rule him out for the rest of the season at least, and it's one in which we're looking at it and we're saying, is Dani Carvajal ever going to be? Is Dani Carvajal ever going to get back to his best? And something which I think is I don't know. I'm not obviously a medical professional, so I don't know in terms of all of this, but what I do know is that this type of injury, in which he tears all of his ligaments in his knee, three ligament tears at once, it's not an easy injury to come back from at all. And it's one in which it could be him done for a while, for a very, very long while. So yeah, that's really, really bad for Carvajal. In terms of this injury, he's been diagnosed with rupture of the ACL and the ECL in the knee, as well as a rupture of the popliteal tendon in his right leg. So, 3 really bad injuries, and if it was just one of those injuries, it's bad enough. But all 3 of them at the same time, it's just like, it makes me feel like his leg was pretty much a ticking time bomb, and something in which it was ready to go at any moment, and that that challenge on Yeremy Pino at the same time was all that was required for it to just go at once. And that does tell us quite a lot about what we need to know about the the workload that he's been put on. In particular, I think Dani Carvajal's been given a really bad workload over these last few months, especially playing through the Euros and then coming straight back into the team. But also, it speaks a lot about Antonio Pintos, as well as the overall workload by FIFA that has been given to Real Madrid in this situation. It's another ACL. After all the ACLs that we've had in the last few months with Eder Militao and Thibaut Courtois last year, as well as David Alaba, and then obviously in the preseason of this year we had Cesar Palacios and Joel Martinez both going off with the ACL tears themselves. I think it speaks quite a lot about it. What's been happening with these ACLs, that this is just not okay. You cannot have players dropping like flies, to ACL injuries. That is simply not okay. And I think it speaks quite a lot about FIFA's workload, FIFA's scheduling, all of this. It's simply immoral to put players in these positions. And I know for me and you, it's easy to say, oh, look at them, they get paid this much every week. It's still immoral to play them so much in high intensity. And for a club like Real Madrid right now, we cannot afford to drop Dani Carvajal to rest him for a few weeks, because that could cost us a few points each and every week. So Dani Carvajal is forced to play almost 70 games a year, and that's just not possible. You cannot do that. No human being can do that without eventually feeling it, and eventually obviously getting these type of injuries. It's just simple, and it's natural. It was it's ultimately, it was bound to happen, this type of injury, and it's once again just a result of fatigue. The fact that he can't sense this type of injury coming, and it's just a horrible situation for Dani Carvajal, and you just gotta hope that he comes back better. But age 32 now, Dani Carvajal, a guy who's obviously had a lot of injury problems over these last few years, and he obviously helped it. He made sure that he didn't get so many last year, but staying gluten-free does not mean that you become Superman and avoid these type of injuries, right? And so it's just happened, and I'm not sure about the practicality of Dani Carvajal coming back to his best beyond this injury. It rules him out the rest of this season, and even if he makes that type of recovery that Militao made, he's not 23 like Militao is, and ultimately I just don't know how he's going to come back after this. But I would love to see him come back. But now that's kind of ruled him out for the rest of the season, and so that's something we have to be considering now. But yeah, I mean, get well soon to Dani Carvajal is a horrible situation for him to be in. One of our legends, one of our leaders, and it's gonna be huge miss to not have Dani Carvajal in the squad, and we're gonna feel it. We're definitely gonna feel it, because in terms of the squad depth, that is probably our weakest position in terms of the depth. And the fact is that we are now stuck with a situation in which we've got Lucas Vasquez, who obviously knows that position pretty damn well now. And then we've got Eder Militao, who is probably the other solution that we have, which is put Eder Militao right back and then put Tchouaméni at centre back until David Alaba returns. The other solutions are that I can probably say could be solutions are you put Fede Valverde right back. You've seen him do it before, and he's obviously got all the attributes necessary to be able to replace Dani Carvajal. But is that a long-term solution? I don't know. Then the other solution is Ferland Mendy at right back as well. So there's a lot of solutions, but none of them are realistically quite ideal at this current moment in time. The other solution is obviously the transfer market. Now, the La Liga rules, if you remember a couple of years ago, Barcelona got a few injuries. I think the main one was the Ousmane Dembele injury a couple of years ago, in the 1920 season, I'd like to say. And they got that injury. It was off the transfer window, and they went and got Martin Braithwaite of Leganés in the middle of the season. And I think something similar is no longer possible, because La Liga acknowledged how unfair that was for the team, for the opposite team, like Leganés, who gets their player pinched by a huge club, and then Leganés obviously subsequently got relegated that season. So La Liga kind of they made this rule a little bit harder and more difficult to comply with. So now we can only sign free agents if there's an injury type thing. The one free agent that I look at and I say that is the guy is obviously Sergio Ramos, and at this point I would not be opposed to bringing Sergio Ramos back. Obviously he's not right back, but it allows us a little bit more flexibility in terms of the defensive position, moving things about, because if we move Militao to right back, let's say, and then another centre back gets injured, for example, let's say Tchouaméni gets ruled out for 2 weeks, then we're in a even more bad position with Jesus Vallejo playing centre back. Is something which we have to consider. But I would be happy if we played the centre backs as our situation. Then I'd be saying that if we dipped into the transfer window, let's say, that would be a situation in which I'd be looking to do with the Real Madrid going into the January. We haven't done it since 2018. It's something we have to look at and we have to be interested by, because even in recent situations we haven't been as interested by the transfer window in January. But you've got to eventually go back into the January transfer window. I know Real Madrid don't like doing it. I understand a lot of the time January is a shit show, but if you want to go, if we really want to survive the City season, I think we do have to do it. The players that have been discussed, I mean, the right back market, we know what the right back market is. It's very, very bad. Obviously people are talking about Trent. That's not a short-term solution. You're not going to bring Trent in January. That's impossible. So the players that I've seen have been circulating. Obviously we've talked about Sergio Ramos just now, but the other players that I've seen circulating, Villarreal from Palmeiras is an exciting young player, but I'm not sure he's exactly something that would help our team so much that we should sign him. What I would say is that we would have a benefit in the fact that Palmeiras' season is over at that point, and so they're obviously not in mid-season like if we were to sign a player from a European club, and so that would give us a little bit more of an advantage. But apart from that, he's very raw, and I don't know how much I would want to sign that player. The other guys who have been discussed, Villarreal has been discussed from Ajax. I really like him. I think he's a very, very good player, and he's only 18, left-footed, can play left back as well. Really good on the ball. I mean, when I mean really good, I mean really, really, really good on the ball. Dutch centre back, and he's played for the national team, I'm pretty sure, at this point as well. I would really like him, but in January, is that really possible? Ajax would probably ask for quite a lot of money at that point, and so I'm not sure about that Jorge being a real solution for us in January. That's for sure. Then I would look at other situations around La Liga. We've talked about Juanlu before, from Sevilla, but I'm not too sure about Juanlu as a real option at this point. He's good defensively, good at going forward, but is he quite enough quality for Real Madrid? I'm not 100% on that. And then suddenly, you're back to zero, and I just don't know what the situation is around Europe. It's really thin market, and something which I just wouldn't be too happy to dip into. I understand Real Madrid right now, but it's something which I'm not too happy with. I mean, there's one other free agent I would look at, which is Joel Matip from. He's obviously free, and the main issue with Joel Matip at this point is he's just non-stop injured as well. So does that really help us at this point? But in terms of quality, I have no doubt that Joel Matip's probably still good enough to play for Real Madrid. It's just the injury problems. It's just like, is it really helping us if we just replace an injury problem with more injury problems? Is something we have to consider. But that's all I've got to say for now on that defensive situation. Get well suited Dani Carvajal, but yeah, a poor situation for us to be in right now, and one in which I don't know what we do. Just to talk about the overall performance a little bit. 2 bangers we scored in this game. One from Fede Valverde and one from Vinicius. I thought Vini was fantastic. He completely torched Kiko Femenia throughout this game, and gave him a nightmare. It was a point where he thought Kiko was going to get sent off, but eventually didn't. Vini had a fantastic game, and this is the type of performance that we need Vini to do more often, which you haven't seen so far this season with Kylian Mbappe too much. We saw him in that one game against Espanyol where he just came on and torched Espanyol, but a really good performance from Vini, and I was really happy with him. Alongside Fede Valverde, again, fantastic. He got forward a lot more in this game, and I thought, you could tell we play a lot better when Fede's getting forward a lot more, and I think it's quite evident when that happens. Really happy with Federico Valverde once again. Then the centre back duo, I wasn't too the whole overall defence I wasn't too comfortable with throughout this game, but what can you do? I thought the duo of Rudiger and Tchouaméni I didn't think looked too great in this game. They had quite a few chances. Nicolas Pepe in particular had a few chances himself. Barry had a few chances himself. They all had quite a few chances, and they couldn't make it count in this game. So we got quite lucky in that sense. Villarreal had previously, I believe, gone into this game having scored in every other game so far this season. So I wouldn't have counted against them to score again, but they just couldn't make the chances tell in this game. So I was pretty happy with that. And I thought the midfield. I thought it functioned pretty well with Camavinga as the defensive midfielder. Now, obviously, that's going to have to be a solution for the next couple of months, at least. But I mean, in terms of Camavinga and defensive midfield, it's like two complete opposites. Camavinga's too, hyperactive and getting up there and trying to win every ball, and then Tchouaméni's too passive, I think. Is something where we need to find a middle ground, and something which I really like having Camavinga in the defensive midfield because he's so all action and so at it and so active. But it does cause us a few problems if they play through and if they try and make it in behind, because then that causes overloads in the other team, and so I'm a bit concerned about that. But nonetheless, I was still very, very happy with Camavinga, and I think it's important to have Camavinga back at this stage as well. Then we've got to talk about Jude Bellingham, because it didn't look natural for Jude in these last 2 games, especially against Lille. I thought he was pretty poor and didn't really have the opportunity to show himself out. But I think it's quite telling that I think he does need that surgery done. The problem is there's just no gap in the schedule. Obviously, we've got a Club World Cup, or not Club World Cup, Intercontinental Cup as it's now known. We've got that in December where the winter break would be. Maybe we just sack it off and say December and January. Do you just take December and January off, and just we just have to suck it up and go again. It's going to hurt us. It's going to definitely hurt us. But it's better if it's to have Jude Bellingham at his total best for the last few months of the season. I think it's worth it, and especially if we're not playing too many important games during December and January. I think that could be a worthwhile investment to have Jude Bellingham go and do surgery during that time. But I know Jude Bellingham's a professional, and he definitely doesn't want to be missing games. So it's a tough situation to deal with right now. In terms of that, in terms of Kylian Mbappe, I think Kylian Mbappe didn't have a great performance. And it's a bit tough to swallow how we go ahead and we lose Kylian Mbappe at the end of that good run of form that he puts in, and then he goes and gets injured. It's just like it does hurt a little bit, but what can you do? You just have to pick yourself and go again. He was okay. I thought he definitely. He's taking shots and he's just not scoring, and it's just something like that. I want to see Kylian Mbappe get in the action a little bit more and make himself involved, because I think that's something with Kylian Mbappe. I think he's looked quite passive so far this season. With PSG, he would be the one taking the ball, and I think he does look a bit shy, a bit nervous. Not literally, but looking a bit nervous to taking the hold of the game and making sure that the opposition team doesn't really have a chance to defend him or Vinny. And so I think it's something we have to be careful about with Mbappe, and that's something I want to note from Kylian Mbappe. But yeah, I mean, in terms of that, I wasn't too happy with Kylian Mbappe, but especially that goal as well, the chance where he played the 1-2 with Vinny, and he's 1-on-1 with Conde is something where you just got. It's so close, and it just hurt in that moment that Kylian Mbappe couldn't round the keeper and score. But nonetheless, you just got to move on. At least we got 3 points. That's all I can say. Good to see Rodrigo back as well. Important to see Rodrigo back nonetheless. And I was really pissed that he didn't play against Lille, but obviously later found out that he was injured. He was carrying an injury, so he couldn't really play. I want to see more Arda Güler minutes, definitely. And then Luka Modric, I thought, had a really good game himself. I thought he was really good on the ball, and especially in the press, I thought he played really well. He worked his socks off, and he was running so much. He was, his workhorse type performance from Luka Modric, and I was really happy with him. So, really good performance from Luka Modric. And I mean, in terms of the whole team, I thought it was an okay enough performance to get us the win. I thought, yeah, we did deserve the win in the end. I thought Villarreal maybe could have been harsh on Villarreal a win, but I don't think it was deserved overall. But nonetheless, it still wasn't perfect performance from Real Madrid, and it's something which we still have to improve. We now go into the international break, in which Vinny is obviously now not going to play in that international break. Which I'm quite happy with, and obviously Mbappe is not going to play in that international break as well, which I'm also very happy with. So, that's two less players with injury risks, in play for their national teams, but another 2 weeks without going with Real Madrid football. And what is this about? Why is there another international break? I swear there was one last week. It's crazy how often international breaks are, but what can you do, eh? What can you do? But yeah, I mean, that is it for today. If you guys have got anything else to say on the Villarreal game, or if you've got something to say on Dani Carvajal's injury, or if you've got some suggestions for players that you want me to talk about with Sean next week in terms of the potential replacements with Dani Carvajal in terms of short term. So no Trent, please do not put Trent in there. Equally, don't put Saliba in there. And I know how much we would like Saliba, but it's just not practical, is it? Having William Saliba, especially in the middle of the season. But yeah, I mean, that is it for today. I hope you guys have enjoyed. Please like, subscribe, and I'll see you guys later. Bye bye.